Welcome to 5 on the Go, the ultimate career development podcast, created for students learning to uncover their career paths.
In this episode, learn about juggling multiple roles while in school, the highs and lows of running a business while also caring for your family, avoiding burnout, and building a positive culture in a business startup. This is 5 on the Go, where your career journey never stops, and neither do we.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of 5 on the Go. We're here today to learn about career pathways and different opportunities to take in how an alumni from the University of Toronto has found her career pathway. And we're happy to welcome Sarah from Always Connected. We're so happy to have you back on campus.
Thanks for having me.
You've been here so many times,
Yeah.
but it's always a great opportunity to learn from you. So many students have had the opportunity to connect with you and your team. You've always been present here on campus, and I know how passionate you are about supporting students, new graduates, and of course, the passion you have around your entrepreneurship, your other baby, Always Connected,
yeah,
which we'll get into. But before we get any further, Sarah, help our viewers and listeners get to know who you are.
Thanks for having me. So my name's Sarah Elkami Trdina. I'm a mom of 2, first and foremost, my busiest job.
And what that's like.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I am a graduate at UTM. I studied psychology and history of religions and graduated with a Bachelor of Science. And a couple years later, I wanted to pursue a master's degree. So I completed a master's program online through Florida Institute of Technology.
Okay.
And that time between graduating from university and my master's, I had some hands-on experience. So I was working in a field with diverse learners, and that's really what led me to wanting to pursue my master's further. So I really appreciated that time to figure out what path I wanted to take, because postgraduate, didn't really know where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so having that opportunity to really have an opportunity to work in the field really allowed me to recognize this is something that I'm passionate about. It's something that I'm good at. Mm-hmm. So it took about 1.5 years to figure out that I wanted to do my master's, but afterwards, that's the path that I chose. And ultimately, that experience of working hands-on also allowed me the opportunity to recognize another skill set that I had, which was entrepreneurship. So which led me to my current role, which is a co-founder and director of Always Connected Treatment Network. So we're a therapeutic practice that provides support to children, youth, and adults in the greater Hamilton and greater Toronto area. So we support individuals with behavior therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, psychology services, and work with individuals with neurological developmental disabilities. And we support the families as well. So I also have a certification. It's an internationally recognized certification, board certified behavior analyst. It's a big mouthful.
Yeah.
Also called a BCBA.
Okay.
So that profession has allowed me to provide services to this population that we service. In Ontario, there is a lot of regulations and a college that's emerging for behavior analysts. So it's a growing field as well.
Okay. Can you expand on that a little bit? Because, for some of our listeners and viewers, just a couple of terms like diverse learning. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You talked about the certification you got. Could you expand on that a little bit so that we understand how you chose that pathway?
Yeah.
Why is that it's so important
Absolutely.
For our communities today?
Yeah, absolutely. So diverse learners is just a term that's used to, basically describe population of individuals who need extra support in the typical learning environments like school or even at home or in daycares. So these are individuals who are diagnosed with neurological developmental disabilities, neurological disorders. And so as I mentioned, we service children, youth, and adults that have various needs. And some of them have dual diagnoses like autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit disorder. And so being able to provide specialized support for these individuals requires a certain set of skills. And obviously we want individuals who are working with these kids and these youth to have certain skill set to help them achieve their optimal outcomes, and also to support the families. So in Ontario, there is no regulated college at the moment for specifically behavior analysis. So in a nutshell, behavior analysis is a practice that we use to help support individuals with learning new skills and help them achieve positive outcomes in their life. So we teach a variety of different skills like social skills, communication skills, gross motor skills. And so to be able to provide support, we have a internationally recognized certification, which is called the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. And individuals who are certified through this board are behavior analysts. Okay. And so what's happening actually in Ontario is they're creating a college, and they're joining with the College of Psychologists. So it will now be the College of Psychologists and Behavior Analysts.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so the good thing about that college is that it's creating a title restriction. It's helping create regulations for professionals to provide these types of supports to individuals to protect those consumers, to protect those clients, to make sure that they're getting quality services, and to ensure that also the professionals are protected as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are going to get into learning about the entrepreneurship route you've taken and a little bit about Always Connected. But before we get there, I just need to double check if this is correct. But while studying at the University of Toronto, Mississauga, is it true you held down 3 part-time jobs? And if so, like, how did you navigate this along with your education and things like that? Can you take us back in time to what that period looked like for you?
Yeah, craziness. Yeah, it's true. I had 3 jobs. So I actually lived on campus first year, and then I lived off campus from second year to fourth year.
Okay.
And during my third and fourth year, I had 3 jobs. So
Wow.
yeah. So my first job was working actually on campus. I was working at the gym here.
Okay.
And then I also was working at a running room. So I was just like customer sales, but then also helping to support the running clinics. And then my third job, which I found through the career website at UTM, was working in a small clinic that provided recreational and leisure support to individuals who had developmental and physical disabilities. And so I also, on top of that, was also playing soccer for UTM. So I had a busy schedule, but I think I thrived the most in having that busy schedule. It really helped me develop my time management skills because, you know, I was taking public transit. I was learning all the routes. I had to know when I needed to get to places on time.
Right.
And, you know, so it really helped me be able to kind of prioritize, okay, work, school, soccer, extracurriculars. But what also helped me in terms of balancing education and all these other things that I had on my plate was surrounding myself around people who were like-minded.
Okay.
So making sure that I, you know, had people around me who were go-getters, who were motivated, who valued education, but who I could also enjoy social things with as well. So, you know, oftentimes I would be booking study rooms with my friends and we would make a social thing out of it. But at the same time, we were like, okay, we need to buckle down. We need to study now. So I really made sure that I always had those people in my corner who were going to keep me grounded and help me achieve my goals. But at the same time, you know, I was helping them find their value, figure out what they wanted in life and help them succeed as well.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny because I find that's what happened for me in my university life as well. When you go from school to high school, it's not that your numbers thin out from a friend standpoint, but I think for me personally, it was just almost strategic also. Like, who are the 4 or 5 people I can depend on, or at least were probably a lot smarter than I was.
Yes, yeah.
Just to get that support or help in areas, but yet still have that social life and be able to enjoy, you know, your time at university, even though it's a go type of setting. So thanks a lot for indulging us at that time of where you were at and how you went about, you know, being able to be successful in your 4 to 5 year journey here at UTM as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So building on that situation where you had those 3 jobs, You were balancing your education, your social life. So as an entrepreneur, how do you balance running a business while also you introduce yourself as a mom of two? So taking care of your young family, but also balancing commitments outside of all of this. How do you do that? I mean, how does that all work out for you?
Yeah. I would say one of the things that has really allowed me to find balance in being a business owner is having a partnership. So I have a business partner. Her name is Lena. And we've really gone through this journey of, creating a business together, but also personally, we've gone through a lot of milestones together. So before we, had this business, we were learning professionally. We were pursuing further education with each other. We were also watching each other go through our milestones together, buying a home and getting married and having kids eventually. And so what I found really helpful with, creating that balance is having someone who is able to relate with me, but also respects, my other hats that I wear as well. Yeah. So that's been really helpful is that, when I need to wear my mom hat or when I need to wear, just a different hat outside of work, I can give her the hat of, okay, you take care of the business right now because I need to be here, and vice versa, right? So I really think that, my success in being able to do this business wouldn't have been where it is or what it is today without having that partnership. It's been a huge part of that success.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So being able to bounce off one another as you were getting into that whole educational sphere and moving out and thinking about what those milestones can be and then jumping into business together, it's always a great opportunity to have somebody there who can support you in those different moments.
Exactly.
Sarah, I wanted to jump into an aspect of entrepreneurship that's well documented, and it's going through the multiple highs and lows of running a business. Can you discuss some of these and how you avoid burning out?
Yeah, it's tough. I remember before I had kids, when I was just starting off this business, I was working 14-hour days, and it wasn't like I was in office for 14 hours. I would be in the office, then I'd come home and I'd open up my laptop and I'd be eating with the laptop, and then I'd be sitting on the couch watching TV with the laptop, and it was really hard to turn off. And entrepreneurs can relate that when you have a business, there's always something you can be doing. Yeah. If you want to grow, you can always keep working. Yeah. So to create those boundaries is really on you, because otherwise your life is your business. And having kids naturally helped me create those boundaries. But what I found to be really helpful, especially in the last couple of years, is that I really started to pinpoint what my values were. And what I do now is I try to make sure that I make space for those values. So for me, it's obviously my business, it's my family, it's my friends. And I separate those two things because sometimes I just want to be with my friends. Yeah. It's having a creative outlet. So that's, for me, cooking is one thing that I love to do. Organizing is one thing to do. But I try to make space for those things. And the weeks that I'm finding really tough is because there's an imbalance there. I'm focusing too much on one thing I value, and I'm not focusing enough time on the other things that I value. So when I'm able to recognize that imbalance, then that's where I'm like, okay, I need to go find an outlet to do one of those things that I value. And when I have an opportunity to do, one of those 5 things that I value the most, I feel great. I feel good. I feel accomplished because I've been able to kind of dip into all those things that make me feel good and fill my bucket up.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
And so we talked about entrepreneurship, highs and lows in general, but as a female entrepreneur, do you find that there's certain barriers that you had to overcome? Were there certain fears that you had to get over, or even risks that you faced being in that situation? Just curious to see if there were things that you had to face and overcome as a female entrepreneur versus just a male entrepreneur.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, going back to that partnership, is my business partner as well is also a mom. And, when we decided that we wanted to grow families, there is that fear of how is this going to impact my business, right? Because when you are a parent, and you can relate, it's always on your mind. And, having a business is like having a kid as well. So it's like you're adding an additional child to your life that when you sleep and you're still thinking about this child and you're still thinking about this thing. And so part of that fear is, okay, what sacrifices do I need to make when I am going to take on building a family? And I think if I didn't have a partnership or didn't have a really supportive family, my husband and my extended family as well, I wouldn't be able to continue with the business, because people understood that, you can have both things. You don't have to sacrifice one or the other. It's really just about finding your people that will help support you on that path. And again, being able to wear the different hats when you need to, being able to turn on and turn off when you need to as well.
I agree,
Yeah.
Totally agree with you. Having a partner, and I'm talking about my own spouse here, to be able to balance things out. And I've got a couple of older kids, and I'm the Uber dad who drives them everywhere. But my partner does help out in other areas. And so finding that balance, even there with great support in the back end, I totally get where you're coming from and what that means to you as an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
Stephen Bartlett is an entrepreneur, a podcaster, and author of the book Diary of a CEO. And he states that the job of a founder is to assemble the best group of people and build the right culture for them to thrive. Can you discuss how you have fostered a positive culture at Always Connected? And do you feel that this is a true statement?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. I think it's really important to feel good when you're coming into work, to feel seen, to feel valued. And for Lena and I, when we started our professional careers with one another, I think what attracted us to each other was that feeling of creating that family. So wherever we went, we tried to make people feel valued, tried to include people, tried to make people feel like they were at home. Right. And it's actually something we didn't recognize that we valued, or really was like the roots of our company, until later on when we looked back in our previous roles and we were like, oh, we were already doing these things. Mm-hmm. This is something that really was the core of what created Always Connected, was that community of feeling, we are together regardless of what your background is, or regardless of what your job title is. Yeah. We want people to feel seen and feel like they are part of this family. Yeah. So that small family feel is essentially what we think separates ourselves from other organizations of our size, is that, we invest a lot into the people we work with, whether that's our time, whether that's our resources to help them grow professionally, help them grow personally. And same thing for our clients too. We want our clients to feel like they are people, right? We want to give them opportunities. So community involvement is one of the pillars for our organization. We try to give back to our clients. We do community events, very often where we are outside of our therapeutic practice. We're meeting with our families and we're, hanging out with them. We just did an event at an apple orchard where we invited the families to just come out for free and just enjoy a time where they can network and connect with other families and connect with us as well. So having that culture of, feeling valued, feeling connected is something that we really enjoy. It makes us, fills our bucket, and knowing that we can have those opportunities. And then, the people that have stuck with us also value that as well.
That makes sense. I think that feeling of community, especially at the workplace, really changes how individuals come into their day-to-day life cycle of being at the workplace and things like that. And so I appreciate the way you've demonstrated that through that response and helping our listeners out with that. A lot of people find it risky to jump into entrepreneurship. If there was a piece of advice or something that you wanted to leave behind for listeners about entrepreneurship, is there something that you learned along the way? Is there something you want to give back to the community in attempting to jump into entrepreneurship themselves? What is maybe a one or two things that you would share with the audience?
Yeah, I like to compare it to being at an amusement park, with roller coasters, because there's so many different roller coasters, and people get onto a roller coaster not because they want to be scared. They get onto it because they want to have fun, right? And they want to enjoy that experience, and they're often getting on. They're getting on with people, right? So it's that shared experience. And so, like you said, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows, but it's about that whole journey, that whole experience that makes it worth it. And sometimes you go back to that same roller coaster and you're like, okay, I know this.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away that feeling of being scared, but it's a little bit more familiar. And each time you get on, you know it a little bit better. And so I think that's really the essence of entrepreneurship, is that there's going to be times where you're scared and you're fearful. But if you're focusing on that whole experience and that journey with other people and you're talking about it with them, it makes it more of a learning experience. It makes it more digestible. And I would say, like, value the people that you're with, value the perspectives that are given to you, value, other people's shared experience with you, because it might not be the same. Even having a partnership with Lena, sometimes we're in the same situation and she's seeing it completely differently. And that is so valuable to me, because sometimes, I'm feeling high anxiety and she's like, no, it's okay, we got this, or vice versa. And so having people around you to talk about your experiences makes things so much easier.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I want to go back to one of your earlier responses around the 3 roles, and the last role you found was through the Career Center's website. Can you take us back to that journey? Because, the roles you took on seem interconnected.
Yes.
In some way. And so were you deliberate in looking out for that particular career opportunity, or did it just spring up? Can you take us back in time to what that looked like at that point in time?
Yeah. I think all the roles that I've had in the past have somehow helped build up to where I am today. So, prior to getting that job at the leisure recreational organization, I had a short-term job here at UTM. I was working at a camp, and it was my first real experience working with kids.
Right.
And I start to recognize this is something I enjoy. I'm good at it. I like it. I feel natural when I'm working with kids.
Yeah.
And so after I had that experience, that's when I started to look for opportunities where I could start to work with kids. And I was studying psychology at that time and learning about neurodiversity. And so I thought, okay, why don't I try an experience of working with a different cohort that I've never worked with before. So working with individuals who have, again, diverse needs. And so I found this job. It was a quick interview, and, at this place, they were accepting people who had similar experience, but also wanted to get their feet wet. So it was sort of the perfect fit. And when I started working in that role was when I actually first learned about behavior analysis, which is later what I pursued. And so I was meeting some families who were receiving that therapy outside of that organization. I was seeing and working with individuals from, 2 years old up to 18 years old, and kind of seeing that progression of, this is why it's important we work on these skills, because, we see them at 2 and then we see them at 18, and we see that gap and how we can support them. So that sort of helped propel that avenue of working with diverse learners. And then from there, I was able to get experience actually working in a group home where I supported adults with developmental disabilities. So I was still continuing to work at this recreational leisure center. And then I was working part-time at this group home. And then once I had that experience under my belt, I actually got a job in behavior analysis.
Right.
And that was right out of university. I started working, and ironically, that's where I met my business partner, Lena. We were both working in the same field. Yeah. And so that's sort of what propelled the journey of us pursuing for further education in behavior analysis, and then eventually opening up a center together.
All right.
Yeah.
I've been following you on LinkedIn ever since I met you maybe a year ago or 2. And on LinkedIn, there's been so many phenomenal opportunities that you shared where you've been recognized as a leader in the community. And most recently, the Mississauga Board of Trade also delivered an award to you and Lena. Do you want to talk about that a little bit and what that award was all about?
Yeah, so we were nominated and awarded the MBOTS Inclusion Award. So that was a really huge honor for us as a small business. And that award specifically focused on businesses that provided inclusion, diversity, and that was something that we really focused on in 2022. And again, in 2023 was providing an investment into helping our staff learn diversity, equity, and inclusion. So we completed a 4-part series where we were working with a DEI trainer, and we are continuing on with her into this year as well. And that was something that we thought was really valuable because we do work with a diverse population. We serve a diverse population, but then we also have a diverse staff. We work with males, we work with females, we work from people, all different cultures, different generations. So it was only fitting that we started to tap into that area and learn more. And these are all valuable skills that people are going to carry on, even if they were to no longer be part of our organization. These are lifelong skills that we wanted to invest into our staff and into ourselves as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For some of our listeners and viewers, they might actually want to take advantage of the services that you and your team provided. Where can people find more information about Always Connected?
So the best place would be our website, which is alwaysconnectedtn.ca. We also are on social media. So we have Instagram, we have Facebook. We're also using LinkedIn as well. Most of our referrals come from families referring each other. Majority of the population we serve are individuals diagnosed with autism, which has a really great support system and community, especially in Ontario. So a lot of the families are connecting with each other on Facebook. They're making WhatsApp chats, which is great because we want these families to network with each other and, support each other because they understand each other's journeys the most. And so that's where we're really getting a lot of those referrals, is just families referring out to each other.
All right. Well, Sarah, once again, thank you so much for investing your time to be here, to share a little bit about who you are, the journey you've taken right through your experiences at University of Toronto Mississauga to then go on to become an entrepreneur and to where you're at today. We really, really appreciate the insights and the knowledge you've dropped. Thank you so much for being here on 5 on the Go, and look forward to seeing you back on campus soon enough.
Thanks so much for having me. This is my home away from home.
There you go. Thank you.
Thanks.